Hello everyone. I'm Satyam Dhiman. I'm a BTech engineer student studying AI with data engineering. So today I'm here with you all just to give a presentation about the ER diagram, about its explanation, and the topic is on the CAST 24. So first of all, we just need to know that what is a database. So we all know that database is a collection of well-defined data in a proper manner, and in basically the question arises that what is an ER diagram. So first of all, we just need to know that what is a relational database. So RDBMS is a type of database management system that organizes data into tables, which consist of rows and columns. And it is also used for and this database is also used for to design or to illustrate relationship between tables and structures of the database. So now let's move on to the ER diagrams. That what are ER diagrams and how they help us. So ER diagrams helps to visually conceptualize and organize the data model, providing a clear and concise way to communicate the structure of database system. They are also an essential tool in the initial stages of the database development. And the second question arises that why do we need an ER diagrams? So entity relation diagrams, that is a ER, they are a crucial control in a database design and development for several reasons. So ER diagrams basically give the database schema visual representation, which simplifies comprehension of the database structure for stakeholders, developers, and designers. ER diagrams also helps in the design processing by adjusting the identification and definition of entities, attributes, and relationships. And ER diagrams also act as a useful tool for communicating with various stakeholders, such as database administrators, business analytics, and developers. And let's now just move on to yeah. And ER diagrams also help us to define the primary keys, foreign keys, and relationships, and making sure the database compiles with established guidelines. And basically, ER diagrams support maintaining data integrity. So here is the symbol of the ER diagram, as you can all see. And now let's just move on to the next. And the components of the ER diagram. So in an entity relationship diagram, that is ER diagram, various symbols are used to represent different components of data model. These symbols collectively form a visual representation of database structure, facilitating communication between stakeholders involved in the design and development of a database system. So what is an entity? So entity is a rectangle which is used to represent a unique real word. See, like you can just see here. Okay. And second is a what is a weak entity? Weak entity are represented by the double rectangles. Okay. So now let's just move on to the topic. As we talked here, now just see that what's in the ER diagram. So here are five entities. That is a customer. Wait, I will just zoom it for you. Yeah, see here you can see the first entity is customer. The second one is cars. Third one is owner, fourth is transaction, and fifth one is invoice. So let's discuss one by one about it. So in the first entity is a customer. So in customer it contains like CID, that is the customer ID, and the name means it can include your like first name, middle name, and last name. Customer mobile number, customer email ID for further requirements. And then we come upon the cars. In cars, we include the car ID. That what is the car ID means what makes it unique. Okay, and here we come that how it is made means what it is, what model it has. Then its type, that whether it is a CNG, petrol, or diesel type. And then we have a car number, means is a unique number like chassis number, engine number. And then about we come here about the mileage, that what mileage is given by the car. Okay, and then we come upon the fourth entity, that is, sorry, now we come here upon the third entity. So it is your OID. OID, that is the owner ID. Owner ID means like the person who owns the car, means he has not yet just sold it to someone. Owner is, means the original owner of the that car. So first here it comes the OID, original ID, then the owner's name. In this also it will include like first name, middle name, or last name, and then owner's address, owner's mobile number, its car ID, that whether it matches this or not, and owner email, that whether uh, if anyone wants just the car or something, he will just email them or something. And then we come on to the fourth entity, that is transaction. So in transaction, first it contains the TID, is transaction ID from where the payment is being done and what is that unique ID, and then the CID, that from which customer they have received the payment, and then the amount, that how much amount is being received, and then the SID, the serial ID, and the T date, that the date on which the payment is received, and the car ID for which car the payment has been received. Now let's talk about the fifth entity, that is invoice. So in invoice it contains IID, that is invoice ID, due date, the date on which the invoice is being done, the total amount, CID, that is customer ID, and car ID. So now let's discuss the relation between them. Coming to the relationship, first we need to know that what are the relationships means. So there are means many types of relationships in the DBMS. So there are three ways in which the table can be related with another table. So let's see the relationships here. Yeah, so there are relationship. First is one to one, one to many, and last one is many to many. So now let's discuss one by one that what is one to one to many, and many to many. So a many to many relationship occurs when multiple records in a table are related to multiple records in another table. So first let's talk about the one to one. In one to one, a record in one table is related to one record in another table. In the second one, that is one to many, the record in one table is related to many records in the another table. And the last one, many to many. Multiple records in one table are related to multiple records in another table. So handling a one-to-one relationship or a one-to-many relationship can be done by adding the primary key of one table into the other table as a foreign key. So as we come here, let's get to know about that. What are just primary key and what are foreign keys? First, just let's talk about that. What are primary key and what are foreign keys? Just wait a minute. Just make it for you all. Foreign key. So let's check that what are primary key and what are foreign keys. So as we know that keys are the most important elements in a relation database to maintain the relationships between tables, and it also helps in uniquely identifying the data from a table. And the primary key is a key. Okay, now listen carefully. The primary key is a key that helps in uniquely identifying the tuple of the database, whereas the foreign key is a key that is used to identify the relationship between tables through the primary key of one table, that is primary key, that is the primary key. One table act as a foreign key to another table. Now let's discuss both of them in some detail. So first of all, we talk about the primary key. Primary key is used to ensure that data in a specific column is unique. A column cannot have null values, means it cannot be empty or it cannot be null. Okay, so it is either an existing table column or a column that is specifically generated by the database according to a defined sequence. So let's take example of a student table. So let's just make a table for you, which we will just talk about. Yeah, so now let's talk about this table. That is the student table. So student student number as well as student phone, both are candidate keys for relation student, but student ID but sorry, but student number can be chosen as the primary key. Only one out of many candidate key because it is unique. means it cannot be empty and it is a totally unique. Means primary key basically ensures that the data specified in a column is unique. So here we can consider that the student number is unique. And now let's just talk about the foreign key. So foreign key is a column or group of columns in relation database that provides link between data in a two tables. So it is a column that references a column that most often the primary key of another table. So example, like we just take care of this table only, that is student table. So in this student number in a student course is a foreign key to student number in a student relation. Okay. So let's talk about the differences that are there in the primary and foreign key so that hope you can just understand better. So first of all, let's talk about primary. Primary key is used to ensure data in the specific column that is unique, whereas foreign key is a column or group of columns in relation database that provides a link between data in two tables. Listen again. Foreign key is a column or group of columns in a relation database. It refers to the field in a table. Sorry, I just repeat again. The foreign key is a column or group of columns in a relation database that provides a link between data in two tables. Okay. So the second difference in primary key, it uniquely identifies a record in the relation database table. And foreign key, it refers to the field in a table which is the primary key of another table. Only primary key is allowed in the table in the primary key. Okay. And foreign key, whereas more than one foreign key is allowed in a table. Means in a table C, there's a there can be only just one primary key, but same in the same table there can be more than one foreign keys. That is the main difference. And primary key cannot have null values, and foreign key it can contain null values. So this was all about the difference between the primary key and foreign key. I hope that all this is clear to you. Now let's just talk about here the relation and just talk about that what are here the primary keys, foreign keys, and what are the relations in this ER diagram. As we discussed about the primary and foreign keys, so now let's check that what is the relation here. Okay, so the details of the cars is stored into the cars table respective with all the tables. Each entity that is like booking, car owners, customer, car models, cars, invoice, transaction contains primary key and unique keys. The entity car owners customer has binded with cars model entities with foreign keys. And here we can see that there is one-to-one, one-to-many relationships available between say like customer and cars and owners, owner and invoice, and transaction and customer. So we have implemented indexing on each tables of car sales system tables for fast query execution. And here we can see also that the primary key in the customer table is the CID because it is a totally unique and no multiple customers have can have the same ID. And in cars, we can see that the car number, sorry, the car ID. Car ID is also unique, and the relationship between them is bias, means customer buys cars. Okay, and next we come into the relationship between the cars and owner. First, here we see that when the customer buys a car, so how the transaction is being means what is the relationship between customer and transaction. So here the relationship is the payment method, that how the payment is being done, what amount is being uh, paid to the owner, and how the further systems are just being working. So here when we just see, so when just customer buys a car, So when the transaction is being done, so after that, they just contact with the owner, mm, and they just give the amount to the particular owner, and they just make a settlement with the customer and the owner. And with the help of this, mm, he can just give his car. Like in this also we can see the primary key is OID, means owner ID. Means one customer can buy only that particular owner's car. Means it is not like that multiple customers are just buying the same car. Uh, it will be only unique. The customer will only buy that particular car only. So the relation that we can see between the car and owner is that owner owns the car. And now the basic um, and now we come to the invoice. That what is the relationship between the owner and invoice means. Now it will check that whether in the system that whether the person is there or not, means they will authenticate basically. So how they will authenticate? They will authenticate by the invoice ID and by the CID and the car ID. That whether it is matched here or not. So that's all about the ER diagram. So now let's just talk about the entities and attributes. So just give me a minute. So first, let us know that what are entities and attributes. Okay. Yeah. So just let us now just talk about the entities and attributes. So an entity type typically corresponds to one or several related tables in a database, whereas attribute it is a characteristic or a trait of an entity type that describes the entity. For example, the person entity type has the date of birth attribute record, the storage representation of a row of data, and just wait a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah, we can also get to know that entity is also a single unique object in the real world that is being mastered. So examples of entity are that you would know like single person, single product, or single organization. Attribute, a characteristic or a trait of an entity. For example, person entity type has the date of birth attribute. So this was all about the entities and attributes. Now let's talk in this case that what is the entities and attributes that are present here in the cars table. So here the first entity that we can see is the vehicles, and the second is sellers, and the third one is transactions, and fourth one is customer. Wait, let me just zoom it for you. Yeah, I hope that it is visible to you all. So now let's talk about the first entity, that is vehicles, and what are the attributes and present here. So attributes that are present in the vehicles is first of all the vehicle ID, and in this the vehicle ID is the primary key, and then is in vehicles it will include that when the vehicle is made, its model, its year, variant, fuel, type, mileage, registration number, and many more. And option attributes are here like ownership history, means when the customer will buy the car, means it will also get to know that what is the history, what is the owner's history, that whether it is bought or not, and what are the vehicle's accident history we can also get to know from here. Service records and what are the modifications that are done in vehicles. Second, let's talk about the sellers, the second entity. Okay, so attributes here